Cori-Steel cut my life into pieces. This is my Rakdos deck. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and we've got another submission from Death by Manga, who has donated for a couple of decks that look like this one. Since the deck was originally tried on the channel, Moonshadow has come out, and this is kind of a game-changing card for Legacy decks that look like this. Having Moonshadow available in a Rakdos deck gives you a really wide range of threats and the redundancy that you might need for turn 1 within this format. We have a whopping 22 different cards here that you can play on turn 1. And that's not counting the baubles and the lotus petals as well. We are very, very, very low to the ground. And the idea is that by playing some of these things like Lotus Petal and Bauble, we can be a decent Cori-Steel Cutter deck, and at the same time, playing those artifacts and other cards is going to help grow our Nethergoyfs and Moonshadows as well. Generally speaking, I didn't change much in the main deck here. The deck originally had a basic mountain. I don't think you get to get away with basic mountain while trying to play Dauthi Voidwalker on curve. I don't know that you get a couple of wastelands and basic mountain as well, so I trimmed that for one more fetch land. We're probably one more fetch land heavy in terms of the mana base than what we really should be, but we really want to find fetch lands to grow Moonshadow. And we do have a theater to help kind of give us some additional value with that as well. Obsessive Pursuit is a bit of a high variance card. It can be very, very good in the grindier matchups that we see in Legacy. However, on the channel recently, the format has been fast, and it anecdotally feels like there's less Tamiyo running around and more Oops and Storm and Show and Tell. Against a combo deck, this does present a decent amount of damage and is fine in Game 1 situations, but in the post-sideboard configuration, it may be better to just hedge in other directions. I did make a few changes to the sideboard, the biggest one being that I have slotted in a bunch of copies of Leyline of the Void. Again, I am seeing a lot of Oops and a lot of Echo of Eons or Beseech the Mirror Storm decks in leagues, having some amount of turn 0 interaction versus them to help bridge to my Thoughtseizes and Duresses matters quite a bit. The deck looks pretty reasonable to me. We are not going to be able to answer something like an Ensnaring Bridge with the tools that we have presented here. It is possible that I should go down some Pyroblasts, Red Elemental Blasts, or Hexing Squelchers, or something like an Abrade or a Suplex or an Untimely Malfunction that can answer some of that sort of stuff. But we're going to live dangerously and run it as is. If you don't have your Hexing Squelchers or anything else that you need from recent sets, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, to support me while supporting a cool card company. When you do, use my promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on that order. With that being said, let's battle. Ooh, I don't know that I want to keep the No-Lander, even if it does have 2 initial mana sources. If I can't start, like, triggering DRC to consistently turn it into a real creature that with a 3/3 stat line, I don't know that this hand is good enough. Turn 1, Surveil Land or Lightning Bolt. Turn 2, Cori-Steel Cutter. Turn 3, I can't actually double bolt to kick things off. This is sketch. This is sketch. I think with my 26 some odd 1-drops or whatever, and some baubles and lotus petals as additional redraws, it might be reasonable to do this. And if this is going to be a show and tell deck, I am fine wastelanding them and resetting the game, so to speak. Alright, especially with another land as the draw. Let's get this volcanic island out of here and hope for the best. We have a Polluted Delta, a Lotus Petal. An opponent is passing the turn. I don't get to wasteland them this time. Okay, there's a bauble for Cori-Steel Cutter. We'll take it. I need to get the show on the road in terms of lowering my opponent's life total. If this is Storm, something like Ad Naus could be relevant in terms of exact life total. If this is still Show and Tell, this next turn might be dangerous. Brainstorm occurs. Okay, Show and Tell is happening. Okay, oh, yes, yes, all right. Do I take this as an opportunity to just bolt face? I don't think so. I think I'm going to let my opponent pick their cards. And I think I'm going to value looking for discard rather than immediate bolt. Sure. Wasteland not the most effective here. I will surveil. That's interesting. That's a threat that I can play this turn. That's not the discard that I wanted. I think I'm keeping that. So here is my aggressive threat. Here's my Wasteland. Will perhaps keep my opponent out of range of something like Sneak Attack and Activate all at the same time. Then I will bobble, see what's going on over here. It is a Spirit Guide. Understood. So I'd like to draw something that I can cast for like Cori-Steel Cutter purposes. Not being able to double Lightning Bolt at the same time because of Basic Swamp is a little rough. I considered taking out Basic Swamp number 2 for just like a shock land. Still have the Show and Tell anyway. Okay, cool. That's a stock up that just cost my opponent 2 Lotus Petals. That's fucking rad for us. All right, there is a land drop. Okay, so attack for 3, bolt for 6 is 9 total damage, putting my opponent at 9. This puts them at 8. Then I have 6 more damage for next turn, which doesn't quite do it. What about Cori-Steel Cutter and bolt, though? That sounds like that'll probably do it. In for 3. Opponent to 16. And then 15. And opponent's got a Surveil. I'm nervous. My opponent has cast 2 stock ups and puts a card on top. That is a Show and Tell. Thanks, I hate it. There's a Cori-Steel Cutter in play. Okay, it's just Emrakul. Let's see if I can kill through that. Bolt your face. Opponent to 12. Bolt your face. Trigger Cori-Steel Cutter. I will attach that. Opponent to 9. Well, math is for blockers. Let's see if this kills my opponent. Prowess trigger from the monk. Make a clue. Lightning bolt your face. Prowess trigger. Attach this. Opponent force of wills. No! So if my opponent blocks, I will deal 5 damage. I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 permanents left, so I'm not actually dead to Emrakul. I don't believe I've sacrificed anything this turn, though. The opponent takes 5, going to 3. I get domed for 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moonshadow gets thick. It's actually only going to do 1. Rakdos deck beats the Emrakul. GG. Feels nice. I feel like we were on the right side of variance there, given that my opponent cast 2 different stock ups. Alright, I would like these to help out with Show and Tell, and I will probably play some number of Hexing Squelcher, mostly because there's going to be cards like Dismembers that I want to take out of the deck. So, Obsessive Pursuit probably goes versus combo, and then I can decide whether or not I want to try to live the dream of play a Dalthy Voidwalker, then seize my opponent and take their big scary card. I don't know that I want to try to live that dream. It may just be that playing Hexing Squelcher to make Pyroblasts and Thoughtseizes and whatnot uncounterable is just better. I think I'm going to do this and trim 1 Cori-Steel Cutter. I'm going to keep the Lightning Bolts. They just help me close the game out when things are close. Yeah, without thinking about it very much, this has Nethergoyf and Thoughtseize on turn 1. I'm totally into that. Opponent just passes the turn here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put a land into the graveyard now. Badlands, Lotus Petal, so that the Thoughtseize is played around a daze. I could also Squelcher this turn to make the Thoughtseize uncounterable, but I don't know that I can give up that turn versus a deck that has like Ancient Tombs and City of Traders. This is good enough to get a response from my opponent. I do get the Brainstorm. I'll still get a card from them, but it is not necessarily going to be the ideal card. Okay. I don't care about the Force of Will with Hexing Squelcher here. I will just take a sneak attack. I will throw down a Nethergoyf and pass. It's very possible that my opponent will just play a Show and Tell next turn. I don't have a lot to say about that. Well, now I technically do. Oh, that's a little awkward. In for 3. Opponent to 16. If I Pyroblast, my opponent just Force of Wills as of right now. I'm going to drop the Squelcher here and hope that my opponent needs more time to get set up. So there's a timeline where they Show and Tell, put in Atraxa, I put in Polluted Delta, I Pyroblast Atraxa, and it's all uncounterable. Okay, cool. So fetch, Badlands, junk the Atraxa, and my opponent can look at some more cards. Ooh, we have Tamiyo's in there. I'm going to need to find a way to stop the next Show and Tell, which will probably be for Emrakul this time. Oh, does it happen right now? Does not happen right now. Well, okay. I mean, I do one thing here. In for 6. Opponent to 10. Looks like opponent might do a little digging here. And Omniscience easily wins them the game. Ancient Tomb comes down. Uh-oh. Emrakul guaranteed here. I think in losing all of my permanents here, I am willing to concede the game. And is there anything I want to change knowing that my opponent has Tamiyo? I've still left Lightning Bolt in. No, I don't think I'm changing anything. Okay, this doesn't feel like it wins. Well, this is aggressive. I'm going to keep it and hope for a little bit of disruption off the top. This is not ideal. But like, we're playing an aggro deck versus a combo deck. Sometimes you just have to put a bunch of power into play and hope that it works out. Here's our Bauble. Sack that. Always yield to Moonshadow. Opponent has a Tamiyo. I can answer that. I will take my redraw. Hexing Squelcher is fine. It is a decent tempo hit to play Hexing Squelcher. And now opponent can represent Brainstorm. Oh, well, okay, opponent just full-on has the Brainstorm. If they don't do it there, they might have gotten my Lightning Bolt. I'm not 100% sure how I would have played that turn without seeing what my next card is. Ooh. My Moonshadow is a 3-3 that attacks like a 2-2, meaning Lightning Bolt can finish Tamiyo. I don't think I am playing Squelcher this turn. I think I am going to Duress and just do a check for things that are going to stop whatever I'm doing. Brainstorm and Ponder. I will take the Brainstorm of those. I will fetch, go to a 3-3, pick up a new Badlands. I'm not gonna fuck around with the Tamiyo, but I want to. It's slightly inefficient, but some portion of the time I just draw a land and I get to Hexing Squelcher plus Nethergoyf anyway next turn. All right, that was a fast shuffle. There's the Tarn. There's the land. Here's a Squelcher. And it's Goyf Cousin. I'm in for 3, bringing my opponent to 17. I have a 2-turn clock on board. That is great as far as turn 3 is concerned. Opponent keeps their card. Not great for me. There's the Tarn. Did you get the perfects? Okay, it is a stock up. This means that I have a draw step to find Pyroblast, Duress, discard something that can help interact with my opponent's stuff. A Lotus Petal and a Lightning Bolt. In we go. Opponent to 6. Am I dead? Uh-oh. I beat this with Moonshadow. My spells are uncounterable. I don't need to Lightning Bolt yet. Brotherhood's End. This Tamiyo is actually problematic. It means Moonshadow can be blocked. Oh shit. Brotherhood's End just happening? Fuck. Just 3 damage, so I can't kill Atraxa like that. Did my opponent get a Force of Will? My opponent has a Force of Will. My Nethergoyf lives. I can bolt my Squelcher to make Moonshadow live. How am I beating the Force of Will, though? So I can Moonshadow in for some damage, but then my opponent Force of Wills, like the hypothetical Lightning Bolt that I draw. Do I need to find Duress as the top card? I attack with Nethergoyf. My opponent blocks. I Duress them first, take Force of Will, kill Atraxa, or if Atraxa... Yeah, I think hitting a discard spell is the way that I thread this. Nethergoyf up to a 5/6. As a bobble, and I know they have blue cards for the Force. What am I drawing? I am drawing a land. That's not good. All right. I'm unhappy with my plan. I will now attempt to Lightning Bolt Atraxa, and we're just going to get that Force out of hand. Let Nethergoyf die. We will bring Nethergoyf back from the graveyard next turn. I know that I'm going to have extra mana, and then we will try to find something like a Pyroblast for the Atraxa. I think this Atraxa is very likely to eat me alive. We're through the Force of Will. Tamiyo. Fuck! Okay. That is probably too much. That Brotherhood's End was rough. Okay. That was a good turn from my opponent. Okay. Having missed on that draw step, I think versus active Tamiyo that can rebuy all of that stuff and north of 20 life, my opponent's now got that one. Very, very, very close game there. GG. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. Okay, I think I am fine keeping this hand. We have some interesting long-term permanent value here. Opponent on 6 cards, probably an energy deck. Now, how do I want to play this? I think I play nothing here. I think on turn 2, I go land, Cori-Steel Cutter, Petal, trigger Cori-Steel Cutter, Petal, trigger Monk, Obsessive Pursuit, trigger itself, combat, hit for a bunch. I think that is my conceptual plan here. Very strange to have double Lotus Petal and not use them on the first turn, but I think I just get the largest amount of value by waiting. Oh, maybe it's not energy. Maybe it's some blink nonsense. Opponent just gonna pass the turn here. I'll go to 19. Pick up the theater. I do not want extra land here. I've got plenty of that already. Well, so much for what I want. Would be a great counterspell spot. Nope. Hell yeah. Lotus Petal. We have a lot of things to always yield to here. We are now going to throw down for the first time this league the Obsessive Pursuit. The Monk gets triggered. Oh, this enters. I make my clue. I now go to combat. Send in with the Monk. Obsessive Pursuit triggers. This is turn 2. I am attacking with a 6/6 creature that was not in play at the beginning of the turn. Seems sweet. And I actually could have gotten one more damage by fetching there. I just played Badlands. At this point, I am starting to get suspicious that we might be playing against like a combo deck like Cephalid Breakfast instead. All right, there is a Nethergoyf. I don't have an easy way to do 2 spells this turn, unless this draw hits a 0-drop. No, it hit another Cori-Steel Cutter. Go ahead and send in with our Monk friend. Opponent brainstorms. Okay, up to a 6/6. Opponent to 7. Is this setting up a Terminus? I think I'm not going to play Nethergoyf. Not setting up a Terminus. Belia? Belia, sure. In which case, hopefully Cori-Steel Cutter into Nethergoyf, trigger both Cori-Steel Cutters, just ends up being disgustingly good. Goodbye, Monk token. I hardly knew thee. 14. Wasteland's fine. I'll float a mana. That is a Murktide Regent. Good magic card is good. Now, Obsessive Pursuit trigger. My own Wasteland. I don't think I care about that right now. I will fetch. Keep getting Badlands. 1 and 2. There's Cori-Steel Cutter. Here is Nethergoyf, double trigger Cori-Steel Cutters. Do I attack? I have Obsessive Pursuit. I have no spells to start another string of Cori-Steel Cutter things. I think I just chill. Make it harder for Felia to obliterate my stuff, and then try to kill the following turn. If I can sacrifice 3 permanents, which, like, fetch land clue could, I can attack in with one of my creatures being relatively large and having lifelink. That is a Quantum Riddler. Alright, opponent getting saucy. We're gonna warp out the Riddler. I will block with the Nethergoyf here. There's a very good chance that my opponent is just planning on bouncing. Yep. So I will take 4, going to 8. And then my opponent's going to return their Quantum Riddler, drawing a card. And it does not take much here for me to get a kill. Let's crack a clue. Draw a card. I can just fetch, crack another clue, and make something huge with Obsessive Pursuit. Kind of into that. Badlands. Crack clue. Now I will go to combat. End in with everyone. Obsessive Pursuit trigger. Just 3. Do it on a token. Ooh, it is swords. That puts me to exactly 8, unfortunately, which means that I am dead in the air. The duress doesn't save me. Wait, is that true? Yeah, so there is 8 in the air. If I duress... No, if I duress, I don't have 3 for the lifelink here. We come up just on the wrong side of that one, despite a very, very strong start. Like, our Cori-Steel Cutters and Obsessive Pursuits resolved, but we drew a lot of land if you just take a look at the graveyard here. GG. Alright, I can be thinking about Squelchers and Pyroblasts here. I think I'm going to turn 2 Douthies into 2 Squelchers. I think I'm going to turn 2 Duresses into 2 more Squelchers. And then how do we feel on, like, Thoughtseize versus Pyroblast versus Dismembers? Thoughtseizes take the white cards too. These don't, but these answer the things that are likely to literally kill me, regardless of timing. I think I'm good with this, and I think I will keep the bolts. The bolts and Dismembers are not always going to be valid versus something like Murktide Regent that is larger, but having them so something like a Felia or a Tamiyo can't take over the early game sounds good to me. This hand does not do anything. Oh, yikes. This hand also is not great. I don't think this one wins. I'm going to go to 5. Yikes. All right. I mean, this is what it is. This has the chance to get better, I think. But I am unhappy with this mulligan situation. And I suspect that I will concede very quickly if my Cori-Steel Cutter is answered. All right, that is annoying, but not the end of the world. Okay, cool. I will crash in for 1 and then surveil. I'd like to find a bobble to immediately trigger a Cori-Steel Cutter. The opponent is just going to drop a land and pass. Well, I will surveil. Oh no, it's Stifle. Sure. Fine, this time I'll fucking do it on my own turn. Jerk. I don't want that next land. Again, we're looking for something for Cori-Steel Cutter purposes. 17. Opponent's got a cantrip. A shuffle. No more land drops for you. Cool. Well, I will play a Cori-Steel Cutter. Would be cool if it resolves. I will say no to that land. Alright, in play. Can't trigger it immediately. I only have lands in my graveyard. Thank you, deck. Very cool. This deck is also relatively land light. Alright, just a swords. Alright. Here is a Moonshadow. I can Pyroblast a card to make a monk here. I don't think I am going to do that. I think I value Pyroblasting a Ponder or a Brainstorm highly enough that I don't do this. Alright, opponent did find the next land drop. Another swords. Unfortunate. I am just dropping a land and passing. This game is not going well, honestly, for either of us. Sure. You may surveil. Opponent is just passing right back. They're not making their land drops. But if I can't threaten them, that's not actually all that scary, right? I can equip this here, but I get blown out by a Felia if I do. So I'm not going to do that. Right now I have Felia removal plus Pyroblast for a counterspell protecting Felia. There's the dog. Goodbye, dog. This does trigger Cori-Steel Cutter. Oh, hot damn, it just worked. Honestly wasn't expecting that. Like, opponent, it doesn't have lands, so they just have a fistful of spells over there. So it is just super, super reasonable that some of their spells are... No, we will try to keep you in this clunky situation that you're in. Opponent is passing. Lightning Bolt is fine. I will hold that to attempt to cast 2 spells in the same turn with Cori-Steel Cutter. Unless there's an emergency. You know, Tameo Brainstorm can happen, for example. Regular Brainstorm is fine, though. So my opponent may have some number of Hydroblasts that can just cleanly answer a Cori-Steel Cutter. Or, like, Prismatic Endings or whatever. Yes, that is occurring. It's big. Okay. So, there's a friend. Lightning Bolt, your face. Lots of triggers. Do not want another land. That grows Moonshadow immediately. There's Prowess. Ooh, opponent Force of Wills, pitching a Riddler. Yep. I think I am fine losing a Monk here to send in 2 more points of damage. Yep. So I can move Cori-Steel Cutter manually to another creature next turn. I only have 2 card types in graveyard for DRC purposes. Sometimes my opponent just attacks me, plays a removal spell that keeps me from having lethal next turn, and then kills me the following turn. Oh shit. Sweepers are rough there. That almost certainly means that my opponent wins. I'm at 8. Yeah, nope. That was too much land. We even surveilled 1 off the top there. GG. I feel like I am drawing more lands than this deck should on average. Alright. I guess that's how averages work, right? Alright, third hand is reasonable. I think I'm getting rid of a Douthie. And I guess my best draw would be an untapped land that lets me play Thoughtseize and second Nethergoyf immediately. Let's play towards that. I think I'm going to go ahead and fetch, get bad lands, play Bauble, and decide how badly I need to play Thoughtseize on turn 1 based on what I see here. Alright, seeing generic Ponder, I don't think I need to Thoughtseize immediately. I'm going to go ahead and throw down my threat. And the hope is that between my next 2 draws, the one I get off of Bauble and my draw for turn, I draw an untapped land. Hey, there we go. Xander's Lounge. So this is probably representing some, like, up the beanstalk style nonsense. Let's go ahead and try to take some removal here. Opponent Force of Wills. That will grow these to 3s. So I will send in for 3. I have a Swift Clock in play, but if my opponent gets set up and, like, gets up the beanstalk into Prismatic Ending style stuff, they will certainly win this matchup. I have no source of card advantage currently. 1 Nethergoyf down. Alright. What else you got? A Lorien Reveal cycle in response. Getting a Tropical Island, Scion of Draco. We'll take the up the beanstalk here. I'm going to immediately do this on the off chance that it grows Nethergoyf. It's incredibly awkward that I know that my opponent has Force of Negation, which explicitly counters this. So we will just grow the Goyf by 1 and choose Violence. Despite that the fact that my opponent's hand doesn't really do anything right now, I do still think they are going to be favored in this game. So they are just going to play Scion of Draco for no tricks. I will cast a DRC, which is incredibly awkward given that that is a 4/4 flyer, but it attacking in would mean that for future turns the Nethergoyf would get bigger. What is this gonna be? Oh shit, it's Bellow! I don't think my opponent should be attacking with that. I think they should be holding that back. So, like, they get to draw a card, but now I get to attack them for 3, whereas previously I couldn't have done that. In we go! This has First Strike and Trample for what it's worth. Opponent takes 7 going to 1. And I don't have a second Surveil land in this deck. We don't want my opponent to get, what is it, the white permanent that gives lifelink? Lifelink is black. Yeah. There's another land drop. We know one of these cards is Force of Negation. Opponent not dead here. The combat essentially is I trade DRC for Bellow. Oh, nice. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively fetch here. I get rid of Scion. I don't think I am playing around actual factual Spell Pierce. I guess it's air quotes free too. Life shouldn't matter. Didn't you have Force of Negation to counter that though? Right? Like I saw that. There's no Brainstorm, right? Okay. I like the idea of Hexing Squelcher so my stuff doesn't get countered. I will probably do some amount of this stuff. My opponent is going to have a decent amount of card advantage through permanence. I don't know that I want to be attacking their hand if like things like Bellow are just going to draw them cards and things like Up the Beanstalk are just going to draw them cards. And then I think I will just go down on Voidwalkers since I am bringing in Hexing Squelchers. Maybe a couple of Hexing Squelchers should just be in the main deck. I think I have made this swap with Douthie Voidwalker in all 3 of the games so far. Yeah, this is reasonable looking. Did we win at like a mull to 5 there? We did. Nice. All right. Well, we have land. And then I'll be passing. Cycling of Lorien revealed or a Tundra. Do you have beans? Rest in peace. Got it. That's not a commonly played card. I think I'm just squelching here. Rest in peace is pretty damn good against my deck, by the way. 19. Like, the Moonshadows and the DRCs are now way worse. Opponent brainstorms. This is a moment where I would miss, you know, the Orcish Bowmaster style cards that punish Up the Beanstalks and brainstorms and whatnot. I will go land drop, fetch. I have sacrificed 1 permanent. Play Obsessive Pursuit. No, I will say no to Nethergoyf. That can go to my graveyard. We can recast it from my graveyard later. It's fine. Send on in. Make one of our creatures bigger. Opponent gets smacked for 4. I think I'm just going to trade. That gives me another chance to surveil. Lightning Bolt. Given that I've got a Clue Machine in play, I think I will just take the efficient spell. So make my Clue. 16. Verdant Catacombs. Fetch. I think I'll go untapped here. Sack a Clue. Get a card. I think I'm going to call that good enough. Send in. Let's do counters on Squelcher this time. Kind of spread them out. Opponent to 9. Land drop. I'm a little scared that I'm going to see some sort of sweeper here. My opponent hasn't done a single target removal thing yet this entire game. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm afraid of, right? So I will draw a card. All right, it's a new threat at least, and this is going to clear a ton of stuff. So it's not the worst thing in the world, it's just quite bad. All right, so then DRC. I'm going to end up fetching and surveilling with Moonshadow. I don't think I need to do it immediately. New land drop. Let's see what awful thing is about to happen. I'm hoping it's just tap out for a creature that I can Pyroblast. That resolves. That resolves. I think I'm in trouble if my Moonshadow gets removed. There's also a delicate line to walk here in terms of my DRC attacking into these creatures unwillingly. Theater. 1-2 Nethergoyf I'm not excited about. I'm going to send that to graveyard. This is now 2 card types for this. Grow Moonshadow again. Ooh-wee. Well, trigger. I think we're just sending to graveyard at this point. I think this is now an aggro turn officially. Let's try it. Bolt. Triggers. Yes. This time I'm going to go ahead and fetch. Grow Moonshadow again. I'll pick up the basic. Another Cori-Steel Cutter? I don't think that's actually good. I'm either... Yeah, I don't think it's good. Moonshadow reaches problem size. Now I believe that I go ahead and move a Cori-Steel Cutter over here. So the monk is no longer hasty, but DRC now trades with a Scion of Draco if Moonshadow gets removed via Swords to Plowshares or whatever. Okay, Leyline Binding, same deal. Yep, we trade these. I will pass turn. I have a Nethergoyf in graveyard that I can bring back. I have a Cori-Steel Cutter that I can trigger. No, that turns on everything with Scion of Draco. Let's not mess around with that. I could maybe let it resolve and then Pyroblast it if my opponent attacks. So 1, 2, 3. I have 4 card types in here. So Artifact, Land, Instant, Creature. Done. There's Nethergoyf, Lotus Petal, Rigger, Cori-Steel Cutter. Say yes. Move Cori-Steel Cutter. Have to do red for that. Over to the Goyf. The Goyf now has to be blocked unless my opponent's last card is again another 1-mana removal spell, meaning I push 2 damage through here. That is cycling a Xander's Lounge for 3 mana. That doesn't usually come up. All right, GG. We win that match 2-0. We are now on the board. Alrighty. Opening hand is solid here. We have Moonshadow, the ability to scale it up, a little bit of endgame, Nethergoyf as an additional threat, an answer to a Tameo. I'm not going to claim this is the perfect hand or anything, but this one's pretty damn good. Oh, bam. And Moonshadow. We'll bobble it up and see if we can confirm that our opponent is like playing show and tell or whatever. Blooded Strand, still ambiguous. Redraw is a land. Got new land drop. Opponent started to do something. All right, so they are just going to ponder in a way that always leaves them with swords available. Okay. I imagine Moonshadow is not long for this world if like this is the play pattern my opponent is doing. I also have to play around Stifle here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this, because if my opponent has a removal spell, they fire it off right here. It is Brainstorm instead. I'm expecting to see, like, Belia Quantum Riddler nonsense when I look at this hand. Ooh, I'm wrong. It is Cephalid Breakfast. I mean, I'll take the combo piece. There's a very good chance this isn't actually doing anything right now. The same is probably true for this. I'll take the Shuko. So then I will go ahead and fetch, continue to grow Moonshadow, pick up a land, throw down a Nethergoyf, and send in for some damage. There's the Delta. Whatever card my opponent plays here is the thing that they wanted to hide, and it is Teferi. Sure. So I can replay Moonshadow. Opponent forces pitching a Narcomoeba. I get what is arguably a better threat in this position. There's Theater. Honestly, sure. And as much as I want to ignore this, I probably shouldn't, because then I can't dismember on my opponent's turn. So I'm going to kill that at the cost of 4 damage. The remainder of my opponent's hand is not particularly strong, and I think I'd kill them in 2 turns anyway. So, you know. Let's Badlands, Obsessive Pursuit, trigger DRC. I don't know that that's going to be relevant. I will make my thing. Oop, did my opponent just concede? Yeah, all right, my opponent just conceded. GG. We are playing against Cephalid Breakfast. In case you're not familiar with that, my opponent is going to play a card named Cephalid Illusionist and attempt to target it over and over again with something like Shuko or Nomads in Core until they ultimately dread return a Thassa's Oracle. So I have a bunch of different things that I could mess around with. Like basically everything that is in my entire sideboard is reasonable here. I think I'm going to go Obsessive Pursuit out. I think Duress in particular misses a lot of stuff. I think I'm okay with Spellbomb. I don't want to go down on removal because Stoneforge Mystic for Kaldra is a thing that my opponent can do as well. Maybe we're not going crazy with hexing Squelchers here. I would find it hard to get this many cards into the deck. Like, this is still requiring 4 cuts if I want all of these cards. I want the Leylines and the Douthies for the combo side. I want the Bolts and the Dismemberer for the Stoneforge Mystic side, and it also interacts with the combo. I don't think I'm ever cutting the 0 drops. I don't think I'm ever cutting Moonshadows. Thoughtseize versus a combo deck is fine. Maybe our game 1 stuff is just relatively good here. Could reasonably go down a Cori-Steel Cutter. Stopping Cephalid Illusionist on the stack with these is such a big deal. Can I get rid of all of these? How many threats is that? 14? 14 feels light. But this does feel pretty hateful. Let's try it. By dropping Obsessive Pursuit and Cori-Steel Cutter at the same time, I will not be the best versus some of their grindier, like Stoneforge Urza Saga games. I don't think I like this one. The ETB tapped land is really rough. This is fine. I think with Leyline of the Void here, I will get rid of Pyroblast. Flooded Strand into a Ponder. Do I just Wasteland? I think no. I think I try to get my threat going. I have a I have a Lightning Bolt for Stoneforge Mystic anyway. And I can also Wasteland a Tundra. And Wastelanding the Tundra while growing Moonshadow sounds nifty. Wastelanding an Urza Saga while growing Moonshadow sounds nifty. Voice of Victory as a protection spell. You've got it. I am fine bolting that. Thinking things through. I'm always taking out this Urza Saga. I don't want my opponent making tokens, and I don't want them tutoring. The Goyf is currently small. I could just give my opponent this for a turn. I think I'm okay with that. I have Menace anyway. Menace 17. Island comes down. Opponent brainstorms. This is done in a way that could brainstorm lock them. Nomads in play. Okay, cool. Now I can get both of these creatures. That was not something that was guaranteed before. Shadow up to a 3/3 as well. Let's lose a little life to Dismember. Fine lightning bolting this as well, even though it is not a premium creature. Teferi Time Raveler exists, right? Like, my opponent has ways to take Leyline of the Void style permanents out of play. Okay, sure. There's Ponder. My opponent has fetched in a very interesting way this entire match. A way that feels very wrong from this side of the table. Nomads comes back. New Nethergoyf. Guess let's cast that. Then cast this. Go to Punchies. Spend in for 5. I think I just leave the Spellbomb chilling in play rather than cashing it in for some extra damage right now. Again, on the off chance that my opponent can remove Leyline and then attempt a combo line. Unless my opponent can combo or has a Wrath of the Skies style permanent, it doesn't seem like they can easily win this one. Saga feels too late. Stoneforge Mystic, sure. Getting Cauldra, yep. Alright, there is a Cephalid Illusionist. Alright, opponent has bodies. I have yet another thing that impacts the graveyard. Math is for blockers, you figure it out. Still have Menace. Alright, do I want to cash in for 1 damage with my opponent losing a Cephalid Illusionist and with me having 2 things? I think so. This seems fine. Opponent to 2. Galthy Voidwalker's Shadow alone should do this. Same with Moonshadow's Menace. Another land drop. Alright, that felt very, very good for us. GG's, is that 2-2 now? It is. Opening hand could really use 1 more mana here. I get a Bauble redraw and have turn 2 Thoughtseize for if I miss the land drop. I'm not the best at triggering the Cori-Steel Cutter. I think I'm gonna reluctantly keep this. My deck has done a great job of spitting up lands, so you know. I'll keep knowing that. I will start on Mishra's Bauble immediately in case I see something that is like, hey, I'm playing Oops All spells, and I need to Thoughtseize instead of Goyf. Electroof. Nope, opponent is playing some fair nonsense. I'll throw down the Nethergoyf. We are probably playing against something in the Cradle Control ballpark, just like the fair Green Sun Zenith piles. Unfortunately, I probably have my worst threat against those sorts of decks. This one doesn't have like Flying or Menace or Shadow or anything like that. What? Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. That one wasn't on my bingo card for what I was expecting. I'm gonna go ahead and Cori-Steel Cutter here because I can specifically trigger it this turn. And if my opponent is playing expensive shit like Fury, we'll have our chance. I guess I don't need to crack this immediately. I can wait until after my opponent fetches. There's already an artifact in graveyard. Opponent to 17. And now, buckle up. What sort of 5-color elemental bullshit is happening over there? Alright, you topped a card. What did you top? Broadside. Alright. There is some spice over there for sure. Ooh. If I hit another land, that Cori-Steel Cutter is cool. Otherwise, I am probably going to do some combination of these. Need other card types in the graveyard. Alright, White of the Reliquary. That currently dies to a Bolt. That is fine. There's Fury. Exiling Fury with Fury. You've got it. I think I am fine with this. Get another Badlands. Play a Cori-Steel Cutter. While I can Lightning Bolt this. Trigger both Cori-Steel Cutters. And then I'll get to send in for 4. And next turn I can take one of my opponent's remaining creatures out with Thoughtseize while playing Obsessive Pursuit and making 2 more monks. Seems reasonable. I have no idea what's coming down. Squelcher? Are we just honest to goodness Jund? Vibrance. So that is a lightning bolt on one of these. Yeah, opponent is honest to goodness Jund. Jund elementals. Thoughtseize you. Trigger prowess. Okay, am I more scared of Broadside with elementals or Grist? Grist? I don't know. Broadside is a stupid amount of damage. Nah, I'm taking Grist. There be triggers. So make my clue. Go to punchies. Do this. I don't think I actually sacrificed anything this turn. I did not. Alright, opponent 2-5. Alright. How are we sideboarding for Jund elementals? I don't know that we're doing much. I'm not excited about Duress. That misses so many of my opponent's creatures. I could straight up just Squelcher for Ward. Turn 2 Duresses into 2 Squelchers. Consider Spellbomb to clear out the graveyard for White of the Reliquary size. And I still... 4-drop card, Explorer. I still Explorer. It may be too hard to have that with the correct timing. I could also just, again, play more Hexing Squelchers for Ward, since my opponent is essentially trying to play a control deck. The thing is that the Squelchers don't really rumble versus my opponent's larger creatures. Like, having a large Moonshadow with Ward of pay, 4 or 6 life after stacking up a couple of Hexing Squelchers sounds super sexy. I think I'm okay with this balance. I don't know that I want Spellbomb as a 2-mana cantrip here. It's fine. Opening hand is medium. I think I will be keeping it. I go Nethergoyf, get a redraw, and potentially wasteland my opponent into the Stratosphere. If they don't get on board with something, I could potentially just start wastelanding them on turn 1. Do that for turn 2, and just hope the fact that my deck is lower to the ground means that I play a better game after that than they do. There's the Mana Dork. That makes just wastelanding immediately much more awkward. I think I am into this. So I think I will go basic, look and see what is on top of your library. Sylvan Safekeeper. I will Thoughtseize you. Endurance, Edict, and Force of Vigor? Not sure what the rationale there is. Endurance is a 3-4. I think I'm taking Endurance. Endurance is kind of like Shoulder's Edict anyway. Dismember. Alright. So there's the land I know about. There's the Safekeeper that I know about. I think I'm doing this. Despite the fact that this stings a little bit. When I can decide whether or not they would like a creature or a land. They get to make that decision. With potentially Gaia's Cradle being something that could shift that decision one way or another. The reason that I'm doing this is so that I can just play a Nethergoyf without my opponent using Shouldered's Edict mana this turn. Fetch. And then, they can Edict this Goyf, but then I will start wastelanding their lands while playing Hexing Squelchers. And I am overall A-okay with this situation. Opponent presumably getting black mana for Edict, although they could have drawn something else. Alright, there's the Edict. Goodbye, Nethergoyf. You'll come back later. I will go to 12. Let's squelch. I think I'll go to my opponent's turn and then junk Bayou in case they surveil land here. Because I know their last card is Force of Vigor. So goodbye, Bayou. You may give your Sylvan Safekeeper Shroud for the turn. I won't target it. Pinky promise. Don't even bother. Alright, opponent is chilling. Ooh, nice. I am okay getting this going. Moonshadow. Wasteland your Boseiju. Grow the Moonshadow. Opponent being a little sloppy there in terms of protecting their Sylvan Safekeeper. Doesn't really matter, but little things, you know. I've got a Dismember for the next creature that they play. Alright, there is a Surveil land. Opponent says no to a generic colorless source. Alright, they draw a green source instead. There's Lotus Petal. I am fine just using that now. I don't need to leave up red. I'm fine just using this now to grow Moonshadow immediately and like stack up the ward on this stuff. In we go. Opponent to 11. If I draw a land, I can bring that Nethergoyf back out of my graveyard. Presumably my opponent now gets something cool. Yep. Alright, opponent's going to make a friend. I think for mana efficiency, I'm going to just attempt to kill this creature. Opponent can decide whether or not they want to keep their land. They do. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have to send everything at Grist if I want to kill Grist. I think I don't. I think I just send at face here. If opponent blocks with an insect token, they don't have something to Grist minus immediately. And if they don't block, I lightning bolt their face and they die. Both of those timelines are favorable for me. Grist minus also like not that good versus ward a gajillion D life. Alright, so opponent takes 5. And my creatures are simply not removable. Hey, there we go. That is the positive finish to the league, with the last 3 rounds all being 2-0 after a little bit of a bumpy start. GG's. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Absolutely solid. There is perhaps some amount of room to wiggle around the exact ratio of like threats and removal spells and discard and whatnot, but I really liked what this deck was bringing to the table. I think if you are going to play this more seriously, you do need something that is an out to artifacts somewhere in the 75. The Obsessive Pursuits are not necessarily consistent, but they offer something very, very unique to this specific deck that is hyper aggressive and doesn't have anything good to do in the end game, where this is a good home for this deck, even though this is a card that I might not be excited to play in Legacy more generally speaking. You know, there's some question, do you want Bowmasters here? Do you want Squelchers in the main? You know, Untimely Malfunction or Suplex or a Braid or something for the sideboard. But generally speaking, I'm going to give this one a thumbs up. This was enjoyable Magic to play. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and hit the gym and call it a day here. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!